The opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the opinions of the people on this program. It's time for the Three People Like This interview series. This week's guest is Chris Mazzilli.
This is incredible. I'm sitting with Chris Mazzilli here at Gotham Comedy Club, and it's extremely quiet. And I'm not used to it. It's usually roaring with laughter, ladies and gentlemen, here at Gotham Comedy Club. But Chris,
thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. I mean, you were telling me about the history of this building, so I'm going to let you. I have so many questions that I have swirling in my head. But talk to me about the building and what it was before.
Yeah, so the short version of the story was when the club opened 21 years ago, we opened on 22nd Street, 34th 22nd Street, which is now Metropolitan Room, which is another space we're involved with. It's a music space. But we outgrew that space. And it was about 10 years in, 9 years in. We were selling out a lot of shows, and I was like, man, we got to get a bigger space. So at the time, I had a restaurant called Arezzo, A-R-E-Z-Z-O, which we were selling. We opened August 2001, and 9/11 happened a month later. So
was it downtown?
It was on actually 22nd between 5th and 6th.
It was around here? It was right here? Okay.
Yeah. So the broker that I was using to sell that space said, hey, would you ever consider getting a bigger space for Gotham? And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about that right now. And he said, oh, I know of a space on 23rd Street that's going to become available. It's not even on the market yet. The landlords are great guys. It's been a problem spot. It was a nightclub that had like a lot of shootings and stabbings, and they just want like a good tenant. Yeah.
What was the name of the nightclub?
It was a lot of different places. I think it was Twilo or Twirl. And it was Sessa, S-E-S-S-A.
It was a Manhattan spot where people shot each other.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. So he said, do you have time to look at the space tomorrow? I said, yeah. So he actually brought me into the door behind you. So the door's to the main building. Yeah,
we're on the stage, by the way. So behind me is where that door was. Yeah, I love being on the main stage at Gotham Comedy Live.
Yeah. So I walked in 5 feet into the space, and I looked in here, and it wasn't no longer the nightclub. Everything was ripped out. There were wires hanging from the ceiling, which, by the way, if you see the ceiling's about 16 feet high, there's another probably 10 feet above this.
Is there really?
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
I know. To find a space like with no pillars in Manhattan. So I walked in, and I said, I'll take it. And he goes, you haven't even seen this whole space yet.
How could you not say you take it?
I can tell you right now.
I'm not an idiot. I've been in the business for a long enough time.
I said, you don't find spaces like this? I said, yeah. I said, and it was interesting because then he started telling me the history, that it was formerly a church and a recording studio.
Wow, this used to be a church.
Yeah. It was a Catholic church.
I said, Chad, that's why I'm sweating. That's why I don't feel
You do look nervous.
I'm nauseated.
When was the last time you went to church?
Oh, definitely recently.
So yeah, the longer history of the building was apparently on this lot there was a church, and the people who were wanted to buy the church and the lot to open a hotel called the Hotel Carteret, and the people who were running the church at the time said, look, we'll sell you the property, but you have to put a church within the hotel. So that's where we are right now. So if you look like when you step outside the doors to the showroom, to the right there's like there's brass railing there. That's all original. So downstairs is like the rectory. There's all like hidden like stairways.
So part of the deal, what year was that? So part of the deal was you can buy this, but you can be a hotel, but you have to put a church in the hotel. So I guess the Catholic religion, the diocese, I guess.
That was like 1926, 1927.
Oh, that's so funny.
So what
a crazy sign of the times that is.
Oh yeah, here's a crazier sign. So the hotel opened in 1929.
Right.
And the most expensive room was $4.95 a night.
Wow, big baller. You got to be a baller to get that room.
That crazy?
Right? $4.20. That's not even a good tip for the valet guy now, right?
You just made me feel cheap because I only give the guy $2.
Well, that's because Jew. Obviously
super
not
Jew.
part of the diocese.
Super Jew. You can say we're in public.
He's Super Jew, by the way.
Oh, really?
Super Jew. Yeah, it's a well-earned name.
Well, next time wear a cape so I know better.
We're gonna get you your own Super Jew cape.
I'll take it.
right,
so
listen.
I walked in and I said I love the space, and it was interesting because they basically wanted to make sure I was a legit guy. They came to the club a bunch of times, the original location, to make sure that we put on good shows and we were nice people, and then finally they decided to give me the space. And as far as landlords go, the people that run this property really.
When you said that, like, I'm thinking to myself, only in Manhattan are they going to ask you for? I can only imagine the type of rent you're going to pay here. I have an idea. Because I've dabbled in some restaurants, and when you look at a space like this, it's ridiculous amounts of money. So the idea that they would ask you for whatever the rent is, and then have to approve you of the person that I'm allowing myself to take money from.
Yeah,
like, that's a Manhattan thing.
Yeah. Oh no, you're right. It's very much a Manhattan thing.
It's like you have to come with 7 years of paperwork and finances to buy or rent an apartment.
Yeah.
Right. That type of thing. That's how.
Listen, that's why if you look around the city now, there are so many vacancies because it's running a small business is hard. It's really it's very, very difficult. And like a lot of mom and pop shops are gone.
They are.
Restaurants are struggling. And then your normal retail shops, like Amazon, is demolishing everything.
It's crushing. It's weird when you say that. We talk about that. Like, what I don't understand that. It's weird to me how we have so many people in this country that are sustaining themselves. Like, where's the money coming from? How did it used to be every industry had its people, and now, like you said, Amazon. I mean, Amazon's getting into taking, now they're getting into streaming where they're giving Netflix a run for their money.
Yeah,
where we thought Netflix was going to kill the movie industry, right? So what did they buy? They bought
Whole Foods.
They bought up Whole Foods.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I was just thinking, a few doors down on 23rd Street, there was like a supermarket, like a gourmet place called Garden of Eden. And within a short amount of time, Whole Foods opened and Trader Joe's opened, two bigger chains, and gone. Store's out.
It's out.
Yeah,
that's a strange thing that's going on here. And this essentially is a small business. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, if you're from out of town and you came to Gotham Comedy Club, you would think, wow, this is a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. It's a really well-known, popular, successful club. You're on Gotham Comedy Live on Access TV for how many years now?
We did 7 seasons. Yeah, that was a great story because, first of all, Mark Cuban's a class guy. He
is. It's Mark Cuban's station.
Yeah,
millionaire Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah,
Access TV,
among other things.
And among other things, he's a great guy to deal with, isn't he? He's what he seems like on TV.
What happened is there was a production company called Killer Bunny, and they had done another series with him, and I guess he said to them, "Hey, we're thinking about doing a comedy series." And he said, "Do you know these guys at Gotham Comedy Club?" And the guys were like, "Yeah, we used to have an office right above them."
Are you kidding me?
And we tried to they on 22nd Street. And they said,
great.
We worked on other stuff with them. Yeah,
cool.
So they came in, we sat down and talked, and I said, "Look, my brother and I were like, the show should be this." And we pitched the Cuban on a Thursday, and he ordered the pilot on Friday.
I love that.
It was like, boom, that was it.
I love that. See that?
That's the way. But that's what success is.
That's success.
That's
pull the fucking trigger.
And I will tell you, like I've had other shows being in development for 6 months, a year.
Shows.
So it's the way it. And then we did the pilot episode, and actually Brian Callen hosted it, which he's starting to blow up now.
I love Brian Callen.
He cracks me up.
Brian is a genius.
Yeah, he's so funny.
One of my
talented.
favorite podcasts was 10-Minute Podcast with him and what's the other guy's name?
Well, now the Fighter and the Kid is killing it.
No, I know. Fighter and the Kid are killing it. Yeah. No, that was a joke to Will and the other guy. What's the other guy's name?
Yeah.
The other guy? Yeah. So Brian Callen was the host of the first Comedy Live.
Yeah.
Why did you choose him?
He was a recognizable face, a great actor, a friend,
A friend. What I thought was interesting is to do a live show.
Well, that was the whole
at a comedy club.
Yeah,
How the fuck
it's
do you
like
pull that off.
It was stressful. I mean, and
logistics.
People didn't get like it was. Well, listen, even the pilot episode and telling the acts, and Brian's my dear. We told Brian it's live, and he didn't realize it was live. So he blew somebody's intro and said, "All right, let's do that again." And we were like, "Dude, this is happening. You're on TV right now."
There's no take two, brother. You're not in Hollywood, man.
I would get so busted doing that.
You're in the middle of Manhattan doing a live show, Brian. I love Brian Callen. But that in and of itself might have been worked because it's funny. It's a moment, It's live.
in the show, it was great because one of the nicest things about it, well, first of all, the fact that it was live was really cool. There was no editing, that was it. And, there was no language barriers or no subject. You could talk whatever, so, and I think one of the reasons it worked is you were putting comics in an environment they were comfortable in. They were in a comedy club, so it wasn't like
world.
They're in a theater, they're in a studio,
Right.
there was a real comedy club with a real audience,
Right. Yep.
Yeah, the cameras are there, but once you kind of get into your set, you kind of lose all that. So they were kind of able to do their thing. I mean, the difficulty was timing it all out because it was live. So we had to cut for commercials and get the next guy, and it's like.
What's the one thing that really helped it be successful? Was it the fact that you had a guy in the back waving his hands and flashing lights at them, or was it like what's the oil machine logistically?
Between my brother, the guys we produced the show with, Rob C. and Dave Goldberg, all the people that worked in that show were people that we knew. Like the director who directed almost every episode was a great friend and still is a good friend, Bob Lampell. He did another series that we did from the old club. So the crew, like they were all friend, they were all our people, So it was like it was such a cohesive unit, and I got to tell you, we all loved each other, all loved working with one another. And
that's key.
The goal was we want to put out the best possible product that we could put out.
Yes.
So it's like, my brother Leanne Weingarten, myself booked the talent for the show, and like we really worked hard on making great shows, balanced shows, and putting new people. Like every single episode, there was at least one person, sometimes two, making their TV debut.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
it's like
that's
cool. To see kids come up, and it's like, and like, look, a lot of the guys, those tapes change careers, change lives. You get a legitimate tape on a TV show.
I mean, come on.
Where you're killing in front of an audience.
Yeah,
it helps. It's like
it's a different world for them now.
Michael Che did it before he got SNL. Pete Davidson did it before he got SNL. There were a number of people who, and their careers are,
And that's part of their repertoire is to have this live, a TV show appearance. And by the way, and I guess when somebody looks at that, it's not just about how funny they are. It's about how they handle themselves in a live situation. That's a big deal for a comedian.
Oh, yeah, and it's great. And what's cool about those two guys is, they did like earlier seasons, like maybe season 1, 2, or 3. We brought them back later in the cycle of the show to host the show. So here's a guy who started out getting his first TV, and then they came back more hosting the show.
Right. And then you must marvel at how much they've grown or not.
Yeah, no,
they grow.
Yeah, they grew.
See, that's amazing that you're into comedy like this because you and I have known each other for a while on and off through our several mutual comedian friends.
Yep.
And I have to say hi to my man Billy Hayes, La Machine, one of my best friends in the world.
That guy's one of the best people I know. He's the salt of the earth. He's just such a good, solid human being.
He is. That is exactly what I was not going to say, but I'll keep it at that. He's a horrible person. No, he really is.
No,
he really is
he's
the sweetest.
Dependable as they come.
And he really facilitated this.
Yeah, no, I know.
We've been to dinner together, you and I and Billy and stuff, and we've known each other for a long time. But it was him. I was walking. We left dinner the last time, and he just smacked me in the back of the head. He's my good friend from Brooklyn, so he's allowed to do that. He just smacks me in the head, and I know what that means. That means I have an idea.
Right.
It's not he's mad at me. So I go, what's up? And he goes, fucking Chris, you and Chris have to do a show together. I was with you guys. It was the most interesting dinner I've had in 20 years. You guys should sit down and talk. So he facilitated this, and I want to say I appreciate it and thank you, Billy, but I'll never let you on the show. Because you're a horrible fucking person other than that. But one of the things I was thinking about last time we were together is, I'm really interested. I'm very curious about people. So this might seem like I'm going way back, but, I want to know you a little bit better. Like, where were you born, Chris? New York? Was it Brooklyn?
Queens.
You were in Queens. You and your
Flushing.
brother? Flushing, Queens.
That makes two of us. What hospital?
Booth Memorial.
No way.
Yeah.
Right there on Main Street.
Yeah.
Which has had 30 names since then, but I'm a Booth Memorial guy.
Yeah. I think it's back to Booth Memorial now.
Oh, it might really?
Yeah.
Well, we switched that. No, I got some years on you.
No, I'm older than you. 65.
Yeah, you got 8 years on me. All right. But yeah, I was a Booth Memorial person.
I hate when people say you look great.
He does look good.
They've never said it to me.
Me neither. Just one time. Next time I see you, TJ, just lie to me.
So nowadays, guys, they call it frushing. It's not flushing anymore.
Oh, it's completely changed.
It's very great place for a massage.
Yeah, but my brother Steve, though, because I'm the oldest, Steve's the youngest. We have two in between. So he was actually born in Long Island.
So you're the oldest.
Yeah.
And Steve
Is the youngest.
is the youngest. He's your partner.
Yeah.
And the two in between,
Yeah.
two Mazzillis.
Yeah, my sister's in the fashion world, and my other brother and my cousin have an aerospace repair company.
No shortage of intelligence of Mazzilli family.
Now, you know what it is? It has nothing to do with intelligence. You know what it is? It's drive.
It's drive.
It's funny to talk about Main Street. So my dad had a fruit and vegetable store on Main Street, and we grew up, my dad had his own businesses, and he had a work ethic like no other, and my mom worked, so we grew up with a work ethic, you work.
Let me just say this, man. I fucking love you. You want to know why?
Thanks.
Because he's a Mazzilli. So as an Italian, I always tell people how, I've never knew what it was really like to be offended until I saw The Sopranos. The only problem with The Sopranos is that, it's like, hey, Tony, I should whack him. And then, I was offended for 20 seconds until I said, that's pretty spot on, some of the guys I know. But you represent the other end of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Mike Ricca calls it the Gotti-Giuliani spectrum. And you can fall anywhere on the Italian spectrum. But you guys represent a lot of the people that I know and grew up with that are Italian, and that they had these hardworking parents, and they instilled that drive to succeed in you.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know anything else. It's kind of, that's all I know.
That's all you know. But I'm sure, growing up in Flushing, 70s, 80s, you had your share of wise guys.
Well, I was out. Oh yeah, no question about it. But I was out when I was 3.
All right, so Long Island.
Yeah, but
not a
So wait, where on the island?
Yeah.
Northport.
Okay, Port Washington. So
Oh yeah.
we're following each other's footsteps.
That's fantastic.
Next, I'm going to buy a club in the city.
And I'll run it into the ground.
Into the ground.
So you moved to Long Island. That's a big deal. That helps.
Yeah.
Being in Long Island and getting out of Queens.
No, it was my parents moved to a great little town called Northport.
A very nice town.
It's like we moved to East Northport a few years after that, but the Northport proper, it's one of those like little special towns that like the trolley tracks still run down Main Street. The bank, the sweet all those things. It literally, it's like you go into that town, it's like stepping back to like 1929.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is really nice. To me, going to Long Island, we always called it going to the country when we were in Brooklyn. We're going to the country. So
we said going to the city.
You're going to the city, right.
And let me tell you something. It was a big deal to go to the city.
Sure it was. Oh,
your friends were like, you're going to the city?
Yeah, it's like you're taking your life in your hands.
You're driving, you're taking the train?
Yeah, you're
really?
taking your life in your hands. It was a big deal back then.
Well, you know what? It was, though. I mean, I moved here in '83. Let me tell you something.
Oh, fuck.
The city was a completely different place. First of all, people don't realize there were freaking burned out cars on the West Side Highway.
That's
Not
right.
like one,
No, that's
multiple.
right.
That's
No.
that. Like, think about it now.
He's nodding his head, yeah.
If there was a burned out car, it would be gone in 2 seconds.
Not only would
there
it
was
be
multiple.
gone, there'd be
there
an
was
uproar.
trash.
Exactly, there'd be an uproar. I was talking about this the other day. I said what killed Brooklyn was bike lanes. Like
Killed it.
Now bicyclists have rights, which is fine. But in my Brooklyn, you're just happy to make it through whatever fucking neighborhood you're in.
Well, that was another thing. Like there were neighborhoods that you did not go to.
You didn't go to.
Even like Times Square was still rough at that time. Like the city, and you mentioned Giuliani. To his credit, he really got the city to a different level.
Did.
And from a business perspective, he was great for
Greatest thing he
cleaned it up.
Greatest mayoral move I've ever seen.
He set the
amongst
tone.
them, I guess. I don't know many other mayoral moves other than that one. I don't know what a mayoral move is, Chad. I'm making shit up as I go along.
Go for
It sounded good.
It got you
I was
this far.
buying into it.
I was. That
like,
sounded
mayoral
like
Fake it till you make
yeah.
it.
All right. You see what I'm saying? All right. So no, but truthfully, for business, I mean, look at what he's done, man. That's a direct. All of this is a direct. This wouldn't exist without that.
No,
So-
it's true. And it's like, to speak about this business, because we kind of went off on a tangent. It's like, I feel very blessed, very lucky to be in this business. It's literally a great business. It's like, I love all about it. It's just, it's special.
That's not a typical disposition of a comedy club owner, is it?
No, I mean, listen, you talk to most people in life, and they don't like what they do. And I'll tell you, my father did not like what he did. He
didn't like it. What did he do when he went to Long Island? What was he doing?
So he's still in the fruit business.
Still in the fruit business.
Yeah, but eventually he became supermarkets, and now he does wholesale. But his father became ill and died very young, in his early 50s. And
I'm sorry, his father came from Italy, or your father came from Italy?
His father.
His father came from where in Italy?
Naples.
Naples.
Yeah.
The Mazzillis from Naples. Any relationship to the Lee Mazzilli? How many
Yes.
people have asked you that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know him well. I met him one time. Actually, I met him here. But yeah, I think we figured out that our great grandfathers were from Corato.
That's
but he's a
great.
very nice guy, and actually I met him through the actor Dan Lauria who played the father on The Wonder Years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan is a friend. I've known him 20 or so years now.
Yeah.
And he knows Lee very well, and he kept trying to put it together, and then finally,
You have to be in your 40s and 50s when you talk to Chris Mazzilli and ask if he knew Lee Mazzilli. Like he was born and raised in Brooklyn.
Star.
He came from Brooklyn. I think he went to Lincoln or Lafayette High School.
He went to Lincoln.
He went to Lincoln High School.
Yeah, he was a speed skater.
How'd you know? Do you know about Lincoln High School?
Oh yeah, no,
really?
But because my godfather Vito, I know you're shocked to hear my godfather's name was Vito. May he rest in peace. He was a great man.
God bless
So
him.
Godfather, just as the non-Italian in the room, I really have to put a highlighter on that.
Okay.
He did say Godfather Vito.
And he also said, "God bless him and rest in peace." And I said,
Yeah.
"God rest his soul."
Yeah.
Right. All right.
right.
I'm just making sure.
That's the.
No,
that's-
I need to highlight that for people that
Anything less than that response from me would have warranted a problem as soon as I left this building.
understand.
There would have been a couple of guys looking to speak to me.
Yeah.
Right?
But
So-
he was a good man. But he used to talk to Lee's father all the time, and they both died, so it kind of cut off that contact with that part of the family. But Mazzilli is not really a common name, and I have found that most people I've met with that name, I'm related to.
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, eventually, if once you get back to Italy, have you ever been to Italy?
No. Everybody else in my family has.
Your
except me.
DNA starts tingling like nothing.
Yeah, no, I know. And it's interesting because I've done some research on the name, and there was an Italian motorcycle company called Mazzilli. They only made a few bikes like in the 70s. I'm dying to get one.
I'm a big Mazzilli fan. Chris Mazzilli fan.
Thanks, well,
tremendously.
mutual.
And I like to know what drives people. Like, so that childhood that you had, from a young age, was your father a funny guy? Was he always driven, or was it?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you right at the bat, my dad's the best guy I know, period.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
good person.
a great man, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and my mom. They're good people,
Yeah.
Do we have fun in the house? Absolutely. Was my dad funny? No, he's more into music. He played trumpet. I mean, what I remember a lot about childhood was my dad worked hard. He worked 6 days a week. He had his own businesses. He would commute to Queens. So like when I woke up in the morning, he was already at work, and when I went to bed, he wasn't home yet. So Sunday was the day to see, my dad. And Sunday was like music day, and he'd play his records, blast them. We would all dance, and he'd play trumpet every now and then.
What kind of music would he play in the house? Four Lads, Four Seasons.
Oh, Four Lads. He loves Four
Seasons.
Yeah.
The Crew Cuts.
He Sinatra.
Sinatra. That's my father, man. The Four Seasons. Did he have like a doo-wop group when he was growing up? Or was he one of those guys?
No, but I'll tell you, like
musical?
him and his brothers, when we had like family gatherings, they all played instruments and they would get together and play. Like matter of fact, I'm just thinking now, I got to call. It's my Uncle Joey's birthday today.
You got to make
my
sure we
dad,
call him.
Yeah, my dad's youngest brother. He's another great guy. He talked about an interesting character. Google that guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Joey Mazzilli.
Joe Mazzilli. He actually ex-cop, infiltrated the mob. Just such an interesting character. He had a series on A&E called Runaway Squad, where he went after runaways.
Runaway Squad.
Yeah.
Joe Mazzilli.
Yeah.
And he went and chased down runaways.
Yeah.
Did it have success stories on the show when he?
Oh yeah.
When he found
Oh
them?
yeah.
I'd love to see what kind of intel you got to pick up and what kind of detective you have to be to go and find a runaway.
He was a good detective. He's a sharp guy.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. Let's delete my name from this, though, Chad.
Yes.
Just for making.
Which one, the
side
Stone
note.
or the
All
other
of it,
one?
All of it.
it.
And hide my voice, make me sound like an Asian.
You got it,
if you
Bruno
don't
Derlin.
mind. So he wasn't necessarily. So it wasn't like. So I guess then when your brothers came along, was that? I'm trying to make the comedy connection. Like, how do you? You go to high school in Long Island.
So I'm going to tell you how the comedy thing all came about.
Okay.
So my mother's father was Dominic. Was hilarious. He was a funny guy.
Dominucci.
Yeah, he was just. He made us laugh all the time, and there's also, unfortunately, there's a lot of sadness in the family because my mother's sister. Well, we moved to Long Island because my mother's sister Marie lived out there with her 3 kids. The youngest is now my brother Matt's partner. He's like my older brother, my cousin Dominic. Great guy. My mom moved out there because her sister moved out to Hop Hog. So we moved out there in '68 to be closer to her. Well, my Aunt Marie, who was my godmother, got diagnosed with cancer, leukemia, and was dead a year later. And it
fucking cancer, man.
devastated my mom.
Yeah.
Devastated my mom. And,
Of
as a
course.
kid, you don't want to see your mom sad.
And the kids, too. You get 3 kids she had.
At that time, she had 3 of us, and then Stephen was born in 70.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you don't want to see your mom sad, so like I'd make my mom laugh. That's how it started,
That's
and
how it
I would
happens.
mimic my grandfather, and then, my dad unfortunately lost his only sister to cancer in '80. She also left 3 sons, and in between there, that my aunt Rosemary, lost a daughter. She was my age.
Jesus
I was 8 and she was 7. She had an allergic reaction to penicillin and died. So
What the
it was like one of those fucked up things where my mother's Aunt Nettie died and my cousin Kathy Jean died like within a day of one another. They both laid out at the same funeral parlor.
Aunt Nettie. We have an Aunt Nettie in the family.
Yeah.
Annette. That's like a defense mechanism
And-
almost.
That's exactly right. So I never want to see my mom sad, and I was going to make my mom laugh. So that's how it kind of was the window. But the thing that really kind of hit it off comedy-wise for me, like that threw it into hyper speed, was my dad had a store in Forest Hills, Queens.
I love that.
One of my dad's customers
He's so happy.
gave him front row seats to see Don Rickles at West Bend Music Fair.
That's what I was going to ask you. Don and who better than Don Rickles, right?
So my dad called my mom, all excited with the tickets, and said, "Ro, my mom's name is Roseanne. I got tickets to see Don Rickles front row seat." My mother said, "I'm not sitting in the front row for him because he's an insult comic." So my dad took me.
She wouldn't go.
No, she wouldn't go. She
Are
said,
you
"No way."
kidding me?
No.
Yeah, but that's the opportunity of a lifetime.
That's
I mean,
an
if
Italian
anybody's
woman.
going to do it,
That's an Italian woman from New York. She doesn't want to be in the spotlight. This
Yeah.
is not my world.
Nope.
She don't, and she doesn't want to be insulted.
So my mom, bailed, and I went. So it was great. And the band played, and Rickles comes out, hits the stage, starts going through his act, and then sees me and my father, and he comes right over to us, and he says to my father, he goes, "You stupid hockey puck! What the hell did you take a kid here for? What'd you do? Tell him it's Disney World? He's gonna piss his pants. You're gonna have to take him home." And he kind of winked at me, shook my hand, shook my dad's hand, and then went on. And he was awesome. So
and you
from that
fell in love with him.
from that point on, I was able to stay up late and watch Carson whenever he was on or comedians were on. So
Wow.
from that age on, I got hooked in.
great.
That's how I got hooked into comedy. So I just, my grandfather was like the first comedian. And he was.
But that's a connection. See, here's the thing, man. It's inherent in you to be so. And then eventually, the first thing you ever how old were you when you realized that you were funny? Usually it's high school, right?
Sometime around that period. I mean, because
Yeah.
I was, and I know it's hard to believe, and still I'm very uninhibited. So even in high school, for variety shows and talent shows, we do. Me and my best friend Louis Benor got up on stage and did Cheech and Chong. Another time I got up and we did.
Cheech and Chong.
There was a song by Crystal Gale and Eddie Rabbit called "Just You and I," and it started out serious. Like we had a concert pianist playing the beginning of the song, and then Louis came out and was singing the male part, and then I came out in a pink dress and sang the female part. People were going bananas.
What's Louis' last name?
Benora.
Benora.
Yeah.
Do you see him still to this day?
Yeah. Actually, he lives on the island. I don't see him as much as I'd like to, but he's a great guy. I grew up. I mean, I'm really fortunate. Knock on wood. I have a core group of friends. Some since I'm 10 and younger. About 15 of us that are still in touch.
That's unheard
and
of.
we get together.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I'll take another level. I got those guys, like my buddy Tom LeVacre, Chris Haynes, Alan Wilson, Mike Greenblatt. There's a whole group of us to get together like every 3 or 4 months for dinner, And at one point, my dad had a store in our hometown, so all my friends worked in the store. Louis, Don DeFalco, John DeFalco, all, this guy Chris Haynes,
And what about Bernie Friedman? He didn't work in there? I heard he was great with fruit.
no.
No. I'm sorry. Bernie's father owned the building.
Yes,
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. I hate this. It sounds stereotypical, but it's Long Island. It is Long Island.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's our roots. It's all of our roots.
It was the best because, literally, we would, as in college or, high school, we would go out till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, literally go pull our cars up by the store, sleep in the car for a couple
And
hours.
then go to work.
Get up. Wait a minute. Get up. Go to work. And you know what we'd have for breakfast? I'm not even joking. We would go to the deli that was in the shopping center of the store, order 6 scrambled eggs, bacon, ham, and cheese, and get a quarter Tropicana orange juice.
Yep.
That was breakfast.
That sounds like Sounds about right.
Sounds like my weekend.
And we
sounds
were
about
burning.
right. It
You know,
sounds
but
about
you know
right.
what? You're as a kid, you're burning.
But
for
right
calories.
now, that is stay in the hospital.
Yeah, it's
if
a
you
heart
try
attack.
to pull
Exactly.
that off. You know,
And it wasn't like we had it once. We'd have it all the time.
this is the way you live.
I mean, that store itself, like there was another buddy of mine, he passed, unfortunately. This guy knew longer than anybody. I knew him since I was 3. He worked next door, Kenny Barbarola, another rich cavalier. I mean, there were like probably 15 of us that worked at the same time in the store, and it was insane. Like, we would have food fights like you would not believe. Like,
You see, that's
in the back room, and I felt bad. Like, every now and then my dad would walk in, and I'd be like, oh, fuck, you know? And he would just walk in, like, look at me like, really? And he would just walk out. He was so disgusted
Yeah,
he walked out.
he knows the
But
next
we were
thing you're
kids.
going to do.
We were 17 years old, you know?
Of course.
We would lock 2 guys in the refrigerator and beat the shit out of each other for a half hour and then come back out. But I'm thinking about it now. Oh, my God. There was one story. So our church was 2 blocks behind the store.
Yeah, anything that starts off with church is a
Right.
problem.
So on Sundays, I would watch the store. You know, so I was running this whole store by myself.
You
you know,
sound like you were very qualified.
and I, you know,
to
and
watch
no,
the
but
store.
I actually I was responsible.
When you had to be, right?
I took it all seriously.
Right,
but
right.
I was at lunch, you know, and I don't even know how I came up with it, but a lot of the old timers that used to work in the store would have like work shoes, and you know that they'd work in, and then dress shoes. But the funny thing was, their work shoes were dress shoes that were just old. So you had guys working all day in like 2-inch platform vinyl shoes. That was their work shoe, you know? Like you
old
couldn't
Italian-
find anything.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, I don't know what I did one day, but
It's
like,
so fucking funny. I just picture
Wait.
the black socks and work
you have
shoes.
no idea where this is going. So when an eggplant starts to go bad, it gets like brown spots on it, and you really can't tell because people want a perfect, you know, eggplant.
We're
So-
spoiled when it comes to the appearance of our fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
When
Very
an
spoiled.
eggplant in my neighborhood goes bad, it usually has to do with crack cocaine.
Right.
But I'm sorry, we
Yes,
might
you-
edit.
yeah,
I might
I mean-
edit that out. I just couldn't. I had to say it, Chris. I'm sorry. It's part of my DNA.
So what happened was, I don't know where I came up with this idea, but one day my buddies were hanging out, and there was an ex-worker who left his shoes there. I took the guy's shoes. I may even still be working. His name was Joe Trelunga. I took his shoes, I put them on, and I took an eggplant,
The
and I
names.
went out, and I punted it out of the back door through the parking lot, like 40 yards,
Why?
you know? So it just became like a thing we would do, and my buddy Dom would be like a long snapper. He'd take like 5 eggplants. He'd go out in the parking lot, and he would hike them to me, and I would take them because I played soccer, and I would kick these eggplants literally 40, 50 yards in the parking lot, you know? So I'll never forget it. One day...
Hold on, you would get 40, 50 yards, huh?
Oh, yeah. I
good
could
for
wallop
you.
them. Yeah, yeah.
And it wouldn't just
It wouldn't
explode on
Sometimes
on contact?
it would. Depend.
That's what I would love to see.
It depends on
The
how you hit
exploding
it.
eggplant.
You know?
Chris Mazzilli and the exploding eggplant. So
So one day he hikes it to me. I'm about to punt it, and I turn around and look, and my father is stopped in his car on his way to church, looking at me, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
what I do?
And he literally he looked at me, put his head down, shook it, and just slowly drove away. And I was like, "Fuck, God!"
He saw you punting eggplants.
And you know what? He never said a word about it. I came home that night for dinner.
Why? Well, you know why? Because he's an old Italian dad. He knows just the look might be enough.
It was.
It was just enough.
You know
man.
what? And
It
it's like,
was
and he
just
knew like I
enough.
never wanted to disappoint him. And for the most part, I was a good kid. I never got in trouble.
That's
so
the
I
thing,
figured
you
he
were a
probably
good
said,
kid.
you know what? Whatever. Let him blow up a
Yeah,
little
you know,
steam.
I'm a father now, and my son's going to be 13, and my other guy's 8 years old. He's going to be 9, and it's funny. And I was a wild, wild kid, and my wife knows me for a very long time. And some of the things, you know, what you're explaining, times 10, with Italian maniacs in Brooklyn is my life. Like, you're talking about some really crazy shit that happened, and so when my kids act up a little bit, you know, they start fighting, they start making fun of people, whatever they do, my wife gets on them so quick. Like, I'm like, calm,
you know
they're
what?
fucking
It's-
boys, man. It's always the fellas, you know. It's the
Yeah.
fellas. We're retarded. Men are retarded, essentially, deep down.
We're different. We're just a different breed, you know. And it's like you got to kind of let boys be. I'm not saying hurt anybody,
No,
you know. And I got to tell you, like my
I mean,
friends,
unless
the
they
guys,
deserve it.
the guys I talked about, all good guys.
Yeah.
You know, all good kids.
Of
Not that we
course.
didn't have our fun, you know. I mean,
Of course.
buddies.
Yeah,
like
right.
you know, I don't know if you know. I don't drink. I never did. You know.
We're gonna have to wrap it up, Chad.
Yeah, well, this has been fun. Thank you, Chris, for having us down
How
here.
did you not? Why did you ever try it?
I didn't like the way it tasted.
Oh,
but
really?
I
So
was,
you have always had a natural aversion to just the way
Yeah,
it
I mean,
tastes?
it started out that I was really into sports and I wanted to be the best I could be. So I
That still doesn't make sense, but go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
As a fellow jock.
There's like steam coming off your head now, trying to compute all this.
He's got a look of bewilderment.
I know.
See, here's what we're doing. He's Giuliani spectrum. I'm teetering in the middle somewhere. This is my DNA is like
teetering in the middle.
Well, okay. Trying
No,
to be nice
you're
to myself.
offsetting his Giuliani spectrum is what you're doing.
All my buddies, drank
animals.
and drank a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
Even like, I think about like college, like I mentioned about my high school friends, my college roommates who I've known since '83. We get together every Monday night for dinner and we take a trip once a year.
That's incredible.
I just had dinner with them last night.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Well, if I may, I think the successful people are the ones that keep friends for a long time. And I think in order to really look, even with you, I mean, you and the guys. I recently met TJ this year, became friends. He's introduced me to some friends he's had for decades.
Yeah.
And I think the people that are really successful in life are the ones that keep friends for a long time because you need somebody to bounce shit off of and to be there for you. The longer they're there, the better you are.
That's true.
It's like therapy. I mean, these guys, John, my college buddies, John, and Eric. I mean, they're other great guys. I'm salt of the earth.
That's good stuff, man. I mean, but this day and age, man, some of the things we used to do as kids, you cannot do. You just
listen. You can't even go out. Like when I was a kid, and I'm talking about like 10, 11. In the summertime, I leave the house early in the morning, go play baseball all day, come home to have lunch or have lunch there, but we were gone. We were gone all day.
You started as a stand-up comedian. The first thing you did in comedy was to go do stand-up, right, Chris?
Yeah. So,
where? How old? When? What the fuck?
I'll tell you exactly.
One question at a time.
I know.
I was going to Columbia. I wanted to be an attorney, and I blew my knees out playing soccer.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How old were you when you blew your knees out? Was it just a gradual thing?
16.
What do you mean?
16.
You had a
cartilage and ligament damage. So it ended my soccer career.
Was it gradual? Was it just like one game, or was it just
it
wear and tear?
happened during a practice.
And you blew both of them out?
Yeah.
When you say you blew them out, what happened?
I was doing wind sprints with a guy on my back.
Oh, fuck.
And one happened, and I didn't think it was that bad.
Maybe you are closer to my end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. So you had wind sprints when, and just that extra weight.
Yeah, with a guy on my back, a guy who weighed a lot more than I did. So I ended up going to FIT. I studied menswear design. I did that for a half a second and decided, you know what? I'm 20 years old in Manhattan. I want to go to acting school. I went to acting school.
Not a hard guy to look at, right? Pretty good-looking guy in college, FIT. All the girls are at FIT.
That was interesting. That was an interesting place, that's for sure.
Where's this place?
FIT, Fashion Institute
of
Technology.
But just location. It's
over
27 and 7.
Oh, just over.
It's over there.
Just over. I'll be there. I'll be back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I used to have to be physically restrained from that place. We have a slightly different upbringing. When I would work construction with my uncles, and anytime they had a job close to the FIT, they wouldn't let me go there. I would go to lunch and try to talk to all the girls. They're so beautiful over there.
So I went to FIT, then acting school. Started working as an actor here and there. Did a couple of Law and Orders, and I wasn't.
You did a couple of Law and Orders.
Yeah.
Did you really? Early on.
Early on. In the early
that seems
90s.
To be like the go-to thing.
Yeah, if you're a New York actor, it's pretty
right?
much, you're going to get on one of those.
Were you a defendant? Were you, cop number 3?
I was a detective, and I was a paramedic.
A paramedic and a detective. Any lines?
Yeah, both of them. One of them, I remember, was like, I was telling the guys how a guy died. So it's like a guy was pretty handy with his feet. Whatever what the fuck it was.
Pretty handy with his feet.
Meaning, like, a guy got kicked and got his head kicked in.
It's such a factory of episodes, Law and Order, right?
Yeah.
And it's such and it just churns out. And it keeps people in New York working.
Yeah,
you know how many people?
Great.
You know how many people I know that work on the set? Graphic designers, prop masters,
actors. I still get checks for like 11 cents from residual.
The stamp costs 50 cents and the check is 11.
So he's so you get a couple of roles and
I did The Sopranos. So
you did The Sopranos.
Yeah, but most of it got cut out. That's a story for another time. Had nothing to do with me. It was the other guy I was working with. But
really? Why? Because there was some hard feelings there?
No, not at all. No, there was just an issue with lines and somebody not wanting to say the line the way that it was to be said. But
well, hold on. I know it's a long story, but why? Was it an Italian guy?
What's that?
Was it an Italian actor?
Yeah, there was an issue with the lines, and they wound up cutting some of the stuff out.
The guy didn't want to say the line the way they wanted him to say the line?
I believe that was a problem.
What was the line? Do you remember?
No.
Please tell me.
No, if I knew, I would tell you. Honestly, if I knew.
I mean, come on, man. What is the line? hey, maybe I should smack him in the forehead. And the guy goes, I'm sorry, my guy would never smack him in the forehead. It would always be the chin. Like, what are you arguing about on
the
fucking
story prior
Sopranos?
to that was actually how I wound up there was a buddy of mine was working in the writer's room at that show, and he said, and I was pretty much on my way out of I was opening the club, so I knew I was getting out of that business, and I wanted to focus on the club.
Yeah.
He goes, you should go in and meet Meredith Tucker, I think the girl's name was. She was the casting director, and it was Georgiana Walken. He said, you go in and meet and read for them. So I met him. It went well, and they're like, I'll have you come back and read for this role. And the role was to play Carmela's nephew,
Oh, really?
Which, crazy sidebar, Edie Falco went to my high school. She was 2 years older than me.
Oh, wow. Edie Falco went to your high school.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody's connected in a
not
crazy
to drop
way.
any names, but I had her in that studio on that podcast you can't stand.
Yeah.
Just saying.
He has a podcast that's very pretentious.
It's not. It's a really great show.
And very like, oh, yeah,
Everyone should
if
check
you're
it
not
out.
world
Really
famous,
good
you can't be on
actors,
this
lots
show.
of real actors.
I'm fucking with them,
people
Chris.
who are working in the industry. It's a very successful podcast.
Well, that's
What's the name of it?
Little Known Facts with Alana Levine.
Define working.
Edie Falco, Julianne Moore.
Yeah, but besides them.
Besides
Alan
them.
Alda.
So I'll tell you who else
Alan
went
Alda, Tony
to
Shalhoub.
Northport High School. Another well-known actress, Patti LuPone. Another Northport actress.
Patty LuPone.
Had her on the show.
Of course you did.
Did you really?
Yeah, Patty LuPone's wonderful.
Of course.
Although I'm not crazy about this
He's
war
a cocky
paint.
little fuck, this guy. Isn't
Oh,
he?
he's
I'm
a
the
cocky
cockiest
son of a bitch.
super Jew you'll ever meet. Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
he's doing it to fuck with me because the show
Because
sucks.
you like fucking.
It's horrible. You can't even listen to it. It's unlistenable.
It's a really good show.
It's horrendous.
It's a really good show.
So you
Puts
went
food
in
in my
and you
kid's
did the
table.
lines. So you went in and you did the
So they had
lines.
me read for Carmela's nephew, and I got a call back or two, and then I went and met David Chase, and I read for him.
Okay,
And
cool.
He was very nice, and he said, look, he was a great job with the rating. He said, but I don't feel you'd be intimidated by Tony Soprano. I said, okay. And then like a week later, they called me up and said, David liked you, and he's going to give you this little role.
Oh wow!
That's
So
what we thought.
so
And
there
I didn't
was
have to audition
something
for it.
inherent in
Yeah.
who you are. Yeah. When I look at the casting of that show, and this is not.
Oh, it's fantastic.
The casting was phenomenal, right? However, I don't know. This is going to come off as an insult. Maybe it is. It just seems to me like they got the people who acted and looked. There's not a lot of acting going on, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll
But
tell you,
I don't
though,
mean that in a negative way. They're acting. I
but
mean, it's hard.
here's the thing, though.
See, it's an insult. There's no way to say it
To
without
be
being insulting.
yourself with the cameras rolling,
Right.
It ain't easy.
It's fight or flight. I talk about it all the time. Those eyes
true.
on you, right? Right? I mean, and who knows this better than you as a club owner? Like the eyes on you, it's the same biological trigger as a mammal with 1,000 eyes on them being hunted.
Yeah.
Like that's how how deep
it's
it
true.
runs.
It's a very nerve-wracking thing. You know?
Right.
So what happens is, I toyed around with the acting for a while, and then out of my frustration that I wasn't working as an actor enough, I started doing stand-up, and it was fun. It's like I did like an open mic at some bar, and then, started doing like amateur shows.
You remember your first show?
Yeah, it was an open mic at the Eagle Tavern, which used to be on 14th Street, just east of 9th Avenue.
Why did you do it? You wanted to do it? Anybody prompt you? Any of the boys say, "Hey, you should go do it"?
No.
So you're a little bit of a freak then. Were you terrified when you got up?
Oddly enough, no.
Yeah. So you got it.
Yeah, you
got that thing.
It was very conversational, and I was just like, it didn't really kind of faze me. And then, as I started going out and going around to clubs and everything, and that was August 1990 is when I first got up on stage.
That's crazy.
I would look at how
That's
clubs.
about when I got. That's the first time I think I went up in Pips.
Oh,
in
really?
89 or 90. Yeah.
Huh, that's funny. I remember going out to Pips, when Wheels used to host and Dice used to go on
That's
a lot.
when I was around with Wheels and Dice and Vic and Otto and all those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Then we must have performed together
You know what? I bet you we did.
with Seth and Marty and those guys.
Oh, they were, and they, it was a shame about that.
Shit, we must have fucking performed together, man.
I bet you we
No
did.
doubt about it.
You know?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when comedy was wild. Did you have a set idea of like the first time or second time you went up, did you write everything out or did you just go off the top of your head or?
Kind of both.
Kind of
I
both,
mean,
right?
early on, I kind of just went up there. I didn't really. I was just telling stories, and then eventually, kind of, started taking notes and recording stuff.
And then
But it was interesting because it changed me very, very quickly. And what I'm talking about is I would go to clubs because, like I started working with my dad when I was 8 years old. So I would always look at things from a business perspective. And I would go to these places, outside the city and it'd be like, these clubs are run like shit. They treat us terribly. They treat the audience terribly. And I just started thinking, I could do a better job. And that's...
Simultaneously, while being a comedian, you're thinking the same thing. By the way, a huge advantage you have is that you didn't drink.
Yeah.
And that's no joke.
No.
It's a problem. It's a real fucking problem. I drank heavily, and I was one of the lightweights. And, some of the guys that we both know that we've lost.
They're dead. They're a lot, Believe me, I sat in this very club downstairs with Greg Giraldo and pleaded with him to get help. He was a great guy. He started out in the original club, and it's like...
He started out with you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, he started out in that club, Gaffigan the same time,
That's part of that fucking being a freak, that disease of being funny. It seems like... Sometimes it runs hand in hand with that self-destructive way of life that these guys can't shake.
Yeah.
Otto. When you say Giraldo, I think of Otto. Otto was like...
Let me tell you something.
My brother.
Otto, that guy could destroy a room.
Destroy a room. And destroy the comedians in the room.
My buddies I was telling you about, the college guys, we still quote his bits.
All day long. A cock. Like Billy will call me up and just, a cock,
Yeah.
That's who I broke in with. I broke in with him, Vic DiPotetto. I had Vic on the show recently. So
Vic's a good guy. He's coming up. He's going to be your...
No, I should come and see him. I should come. He was on the show. We did a 2-part episode. We had a great... But, not to veer off too much, but, Giraldo, Otto... I don't want to drop a billion names, but there's a lot of comedians that, especially back in the day, it was all about coke and heroin. Not a lot of heroin, really. A lot of coke. A lot of coke and drinking, but that's, you're not thinking about business.
It was par for the course.
I was,
listen, I'm programmed a little oddly, so I was thinking about business. And it's funny, you're making me think now. I took like a class, and I remember the guy taught the class to look around you. These people that you're sitting here with are going to be your friends for a long, and he was right. And it's like, and I think about some of my buddies, like I started out with.
A comedy class?
This would be after the comedy class, but basically what the guy was saying is the people you start out with in this business are going to be your friends.
He's
going to
be your contemporaries.
And like one of the guys, that because I eventually took a job working at the New York Comedy Club. Early '90s.
Is that by way of being a comedian looking for work, or by way of a businessman looking to gain experience about the industry?
It just kind of happened.
Okay.
Because what happened was like my normal instinct is like there were a few other guys running that room at the time, and it wasn't the club yet. And I kind of jumped in and would just help. And then eventually, when the room first opened, which it used to be on 2nd Avenue between 40th and 49th, over a bar called Olani's, the building's now demolished. But it was a famous nightclub called the Living Room that Sinatra used to have.
Yes,
at it,
that's right. Yeah.
So
that is a famous.
I would just like jump in and help, and then the guy said, "Hey, do you want to like help us run this club?" And then eventually I became the manager of it. So it was good for me because I was running the club, but I also got to go on stage.
And how early in your career did you start to realize? Was it instantaneous when you said, "These guys don't know how to run a club. They don't know how to treat people. They don't know what the fuck they're doing"? For the most part,
I saw that early. And it was like I'm not going to knock that place, but there were a lot of places.
Not that place in particular, but comedy in general was just it's a
shit show.
It's a shit show, man.
There's no question about it. So it was early on, and then I was going to mention that one of the guys I work with is a guy named Gary Greenberg, who's now like one of the head writers for Kimmel. And he's one of my he's a funny guy, great guy.
Yeah. That's the other benefit is having all these people and see where they wind up at this point, because you've been with it for so long.
It's like, listen, I don't even. I still pinch myself that this place exists, that I do what I do and make money doing it. It's nuts.
Fantastic. It really is amazing. It's got to be like sometimes like going to a Disneyland every day in a sense. Like
it is. I can remember, how this all came about was there was another guy who was doing stand-up at night. He was like a Wall Street guy, and we were kind of friendly, and he happened to be dating a girl from my hometown. And we hit it off. We were buddies, and he's like, what do you think about opening a comedy club? I go, I think about it all the time, basically, And he was getting like a Wall Street bonus, and we put some ideas together, and a couple of his bucks, and that's how the club started, But I remember.
Was you and a partner?
Yeah.
So is he still around? Still a partner?
Oh, yeah, and he actually does stand up, and he's funny.
Is he really?
Yeah.
So his interest was not only financial; he was also a funny guy.
Yeah, yeah.
What's his name?
Mike Reisman.
Right, and he's partners in the club.
Yeah,
It's you, Mike, and your brother.
for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And what year was that?
The conversation started like around 94. The club opened May 10th, 96.
Gotham.
Yeah. So
Opened in the first place.
Yeah.
Opened in 96.
96. It was
So
21 years.
I was going to say, how do you? So it's almost like it was almost like this sort of by default. You slipped into the not slipped, but you started working as a manager, and then you were set up because you probably knew you were touring the circuit. You were a comedian in your own right. Were you ever headlining at any point? Did you ever reach that point?
I didn't get to that point. I was only doing it like 6 years, so I was starting to kind of get into a good groove there.
So, but you also knew the mindset of these comedians. Was there ever any trepidation going into this business? Going, look, man, some of these guys are really fucking insane. I don't care who like
I never worried about that.
Never worried about it.
No, and never. It's like my kind of thinking was, I'm going to open the best comedy club I can, and train my staff to be great.
Yeah.
And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'm not changing how I'm going to do things.
Great.
And I remember like having a conversation opening night with my partner saying, you know what, this thing's either going to hit big or it's going to fail miserably, because it all depends on, are people ready for like a higher end comedy club.
I think it's a phenomenal concept and it's working, and yes, I think they were, and I think they still are.
There's always a certain amount of luck involved. Look, I'm not going to tell you it was easy. And I'm thinking about what helped is because I understood the comedian side of the business and was important to them. Like I can't tell you how many nights Colin Quinn and I were in the old space when it was under construction trying to figure out how fucking high to make the stage, like it's standing on a milk crate,
Sure.
And I walked around with a notebook for the better part of 2 years asking anybody who talked about a comedy club what they liked about comedy clubs and what they didn't like.
What's the biggest complaint?
Women hate dirty bathrooms.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
it's like if you go downstairs down to the women's room, there's flowers down there, it's porcelain tiles, it's all clean stainless steel. It's like
that's funny.
Yeah, but how do you?
But they control who, your wife is going to tell you. Don't tell your wife
They
who you're
control
going to.
everything.
So
Everything.
it's,
Yeah. Right.
well, there
And
you
also
go.
the crowd you're going for at Gotham is, there are other clubs in town which are fine, great comedy clubs, but the crowd here, it's like you're going to come in for a night out.
You can get
this
dressed
is
up,
foreplay.
right? You
This
can
is
get
foreplay.
right? You can get dressed up.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
But it's true. The women make the decisions
Always.
in life. So that's first and foremost was the bathroom. How about spacing? Like sometimes it's a little too crowded in a comedy club.
So that's a good point. There's a fine line. Like you don't want to be too spaced out, because then there's something about being on top of one another. And that laughter is kind of contagious. You
Right.
want the room kind of packed, but not too packed. So it's
Comfortable.
It's hard.
Right.
And then you need your staff to get through.
Yeah.
So you can't have it too packed.
No,
either.
Yeah,
you're right.
The
that's where
design of the room is very fluid. Like, look at it. You see, staff two people can go in and
what
out.
I liked about this room, to get back to when I first looked at it, is that where we sit right now, there's nobody more than like 55 feet away. If I put the stage on that wall, you'd have, it just,
It's
this
too far.
is where
This is perfect.
it works.
It's a central point.
It's
Right.
actually, believe it or not, it's for a 300-seat room, it's pretty intimate.
What I was thinking about when I asked you about dealing with crazy comedians when you first opened it is, because of that element, you don't know if somebody's going to be high as hell or not, forget to show up, and
So
how do you
let's
deal
talk
with that?
I don't. Yeah, and what I'm talking about is like, look, from being in the business, you pretty much know
Who's the solid guys?
right.
Yeah,
So
who
it's
are the
like
solid guys?
I'm just I don't have time for that.
Nobody's going to have time for that. You're not going to work long.
No,
Yeah.
because it's like, look, I'm running a business, and it's like, and especially if we're booking out a show and comics, because they don't just do spots here, they do it in other clubs, right? So if I tell you have an 8 o'clock spot here and a 10:20, I got to run on time because you probably have a spot in between, and if I'm running late, you may not make that other spot.
That's right.
And then, so for a comic, like, to show up late or to go over on time, it's screwing us,
You're
it's
not
screwing the
gonna-
other comics, so I can't have that.
Right. It kind of whips comics into shape.
Yeah.
It whips them into shape in a sense.
Like,
See?
listen, I'm going to respect you, and I'm going to run the show on time, and I'm going to pay you what I said I'm going to pay you, but you got to show up on time and do your allotted time, and then,
And then that it weeds out the guys that aren't ready to be professionals. It's funny because, I have a love-hate relationship with comedians because I was one for a little bit. I still consider myself one. Without being on stage, I just see the world in a comedic, through a comedic eye. But being around those guys, like, one of the worst things for me was that I would get depressed. hanging out with these guys that had so many fucking crazy issues, like, whether it was.
But for every story, like there are guys who don't have any. They're.
I know. Maybe I should have got the fuck out of Brooklyn a little bit. Then, what do you think? Yeah. Maybe it wasn't so good to hang out with Otto and those boys. But I mean, look, and in the same time, they were the most brilliant minds on the planet. Like that. So being around it, but I'm thinking about from a business standpoint, my first thing would be like, fuck, these guys are crazy. My whole business is built on the backs of insane people, right?
Listen, you know what it is? It's like going to a fine dining restaurant, right? You could take any country bumpkin and put them in it, and they know they're in a nice place, and they're going to behave a certain way, right?
Yeah. They adjust to the atmosphere.
If you walk into a place and there's sawdust on the floor and busted, beer bottles, and the bathrooms stink like piss, you're going to behave a certain way.
That's right.
It's like if they don't give a shit, why should you give a shit?
Yeah.
But if the place cares, then you go, hey, you know what, I got to behave here.
That makes sense to me. The first few years and the money, was it easy going at the beginning? Was it surprisingly easy, or was it as hard
brutal.
It was brutal.
I didn't make any money.
Didn't make anything.
No.
For how long?
I made zero the first year.
For a year.
And I went into debt, a lot of debt.
Yeah.
And I don't think I even started making money I think it was like the 18 months in I started making a little bit of money.
Really?
Started taking it, yeah.
And you went into Manhattan type of debt. That's not regular debt.
No, it was
when you say
serious
debt, it's and especially a comedy club is a restaurant essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for the most
it's
part.
It's kind of a
Kinda. It's like
eating,
a hybrid.
drinking establishment with
it's a bar,
entertainment.
restaurant, right? Type of thing. So you're talking about like, the fucking staff and right.
From a customer experience, then you have all those little aspects that you have to get right. You have to get the food right. You have to get drinks out fast because that's bread and butter.
Well, let me tell you something. That's like there's a bar there behind that wall. There's a bar there behind that wall. The servers here have handhelds. As they're taking the order, it's printing out by the bar, so it's already made.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's you got a certain amount of time to get, and even like every item on that food menu is all done with knowing how quickly we can get it out.
That's nowadays. That's the level you've reached right now.
Well, because you have to. Because we live in the everybody wants everything now generation.
Yeah, sure.
And you got to realize, unlike a restaurant, if we were a restaurant, you have a 7 o'clock reservation, you have a 7:15, you have a 7:30, you have a 7:40, you have an 8. Here, everybody sits down at the same time and wants food and drink now.
That's right.
So on a night where we're slammed, we see 300 people in 15 minutes.
Oh fuck, that's something I never considered.
You're completely slammed.
Wow.
So it's like on a night like that, we'll have 2 bartenders, 2 bar backs, 10 servers, runners.
That's what I was going to say.
6
How many
hosts.
servers do you have? 10?
10.
10 servers, 10.
2 bartenders, 2 bar backs. Damn. 6 hosts, fly. Plus runners. So it's like you got to really, because you're going to put out at a minimum on a show like that. If everybody just gets 2 drinks, that's 600 drinks plus food.
That's right.
And an hour and 45 minutes.
Quietly while the act is going on.
Right.
And unobtrusively.
And drop checks and collect money, and turn them in for the next show.
That's tough.
That's insane. That's insane. So I could see how you would fail.
Yeah. And so that's just taking care of the customer experience, and then you also have to worry about booking. And get talent.
Booking.
And get the right people in here that want to play a brand new club.
That's right.
And have never been here before, and they don't know what type of people you're bringing in. And I imagine some of these talents, like, I'm not playing your place.
Was it the guys you were most comfortable with when you first started? Was it the Colin Quinns of the world and those guys? Are you really tight with Colin?
Yeah, I've known Colin a long time. He's a great guy.
So who were the first guys? Was it like, who were the first headliners at Gotham?
So the club didn't start as a headliner club. It was a showcase club.
Showcase.
And opening
What's
night.
the difference?
So showcases, you're featuring on a weekend show or during the week, 5 or 6, comics, all doing the same amount of time. A headliner is you're featuring one name that's going to do like an hour, and they'll have 2 or 3 openers. Now, the cool thing about seeing a headliner in New York is the talent pool is so strong that the opening acts could be on par with the headliners.
They could be headliners, right?
That's so right. It's a cool thing. But opening night was a magical night. We had Mike Royce hosted the show, and Mike actually went on to be a showrunner and executive producer on Everybody Loves Raymond. He's done a bunch of other series since that.
It's awesome.
It was.
I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, Paul Provenza.
Paul's a fucking legendary comedian.
Sarah Silverman.
Another one. I love Sarah Silverman. I have a
Chappelle.
very big crush on her.
You
Mike
do?
Rick-
She's Jewish, though.
I love her.
You sure?
She's
All right,
insanely sexy and
Oh, yeah.
beautiful.
All right,
Wonderful
all right.
to me. But Mike Ricker hates when I say that because he doesn't like Sarah. But
And then
whatever.
Chappelle headlined.
That's fucking incredible. What year was that?
96.
96.
Wow.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's the show you want to be at.
Come on, man. I mean, I remember you called me and I couldn't make it.
Yeah, well,
And
you had that commitment thing.
Yeah, I was busy.
That
with
thing.
A lot of stuff.
Well, you know, you're a good dad, and you were coaching the kids' little
Right,
league.
right. I mean,
and-
they weren't born yet. But
Yeah,
yes,
but yes, you were coaching
I was
other kids' little
preparing
league.
to be a dad.
Well, the next one.
And the next one. So, how did you feel the first night, man? How was it? Was an elation?
You know what? It took so long to get to that point that the club actually opened. There was a sense of relief, you know. And then the next morning I woke up and I'm like, oh man, we got to rock and
Do
roll.
this shit again.
We got to make this
And again,
happen.
and again.
You know. But like oddly enough, like you know, even coming down here today, it's like you know, I'm excited to come to work every day.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Chad. You want to ask him something?
No, I mean, yeah, that's the key. If you don't love it, don't do it. I mean, or at least if you're loving it, you're going to be more successful at it than, you know, if you're just going through the motions.
Yeah. And you know, like listen, there's a certain amount of luck with everything too. It's just certain things that, you know, early on in the club's life, Seinfeld stumbled on the club, and you know, it helped a lot because there was a lot of
Jerry
there
was, yeah.
There was a lot of press that, you know, because his show was winding down, and even like how that all came about, it was a funny story because the old club, I would come in, you know, because at that time I was working like late at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, I'd get in the club in the afternoon, and we had this hostess who's actually a very funny comedian now, Jody Wasserman.
Yeah,
And
Jody
she's kinda-
Watcherman.
Well, yeah. So
Yep.
she's kind of like she's kind of like a tough girl. So she used to take like this is before I had voicemails.
Another
so she,
very sexy, beautiful woman. You seeing a trend here, Chad, with me?
Yeah, you like the Jewish one.
So
funny
Jody
Jewish
would just
one.
take down, you know, like handwritten messages from me. So I'd walk in and I said, you know, who called today? And she'd be like, oh, this guy called this guy. And that particular day, she's like, and yeah, and some stupid comic pretending to be Jerry Seinfeld called. And I said, well, how do you know it wasn't Jerry Seinfeld? She said, I could tell. I said, well, what did he say? She
Jody,
said,
give me the fucking
Right,
number,
come
will
on,
you
Jody,
please?
yeah.
he said, what shows do you have tonight? And can I come in and do a spot?
That's not a fake fucking call.
No, that's
So she
That's a
said,
comedian
So I
calling.
said, well, what'd you say to him? And she said, I told him, yeah, you and all the other Jerry Seinfeld, and I hung up the phone on him.
So he must have laughed.
So
He probably gets that all the time.
she's like, but it definitely wasn't him. So I went downstairs and I called Colin. And I said, Colin, I know you're tight with Jerry. I said, can you find out and see if you called the club? Because the host said some comic called and said he was Jerry, but I think it was Jerry.
This
you
is like a
know?
bad romantic comedy.
So-
the plot line of every bad movie on Oxygen.
You
Go
know,
ahead.
I called Colin. He calls me out and goes, "It's him. He's coming." And I'm like,
Hey, Jerry Seinfeld.
So, anyways, so I walk up to Jody. I go, "Really?" I go, "It wasn't Jerry Seinfeld?" I go, "It was him, and he's coming tonight."
Fuck,
You
man.
know,
That's
So
my Colin Quinn imitation, by the
yeah,
way.
I remember. He
That's
came
it.
in. It was a Tuesday night. You know, and
Came in on Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night, and you know he's been coming ever since.
Did he just called up? He must have. Did you talk to him after about? Did he scout the club first, or did he just say, "Hey, there's this new place. I want to go check it out"?
You know,
I know Dave Chapelle knows him too. Like,
yeah, you know
maybe-
what? It's a good. I never asked him that. I suspect it might have been Colin, or maybe he just heard about it because the club when he came in, I think it was like 98 or 90. The club had a couple of years under its belt. So like the first big name that came in was, and he was another Pips guy, was David Brenner.
Yeah, David Brenner.
You know, he was. I
David
miss
Brenner
him.
was one of the greatest people ever born.
Let me tell you something. When he passed, I was devastated. He was
Yeah.
such a good guy. I actually have voicemails saved from him. He's
Really?
a dear friend. I love David. But
Yeah, he was phenomenal to me.
Yeah.
The same way. He
Yeah.
was a
gentle
beautiful,
soul.
beautiful. Yes.
Good man. Good man.
That's the
Great
other end
stories.
of the spectrum of
you know,
the type of guy you'll find that Pips is a guy like him.
The sad thing about it is that we and him had a book in development
Did you
about his
really?
Vegas days. Oh, he had great stories
Dude,
about
his
the mob.
Vegas days were unbelievable.
How about he was making $175,000 a week in the 70s?
In the 70s.
yeah.
He was the first big name to come in
Yeah.
to the club. And then he told Robin Williams about it. Robin started coming down. So like that was kind of like when they started going to a cool place. And like Robert Klein started coming down. Then Carlin started coming down.
Carlin.
You know, another like
George
it's
Carlin
like,
came to the Gotham Comedy
Yeah,
Club.
it was crazy because those guys would call me and say, "Is it okay if I come down?" I'm like, And I used to say to him, don't call, just come.
That's right.
Do George Carlin. Come down anytime you want.
Thanks.
You know?
I think you created the bump. Chris. You created the bump. Like from a comedian's mind, that means you're getting bumped. If George Carlin walks in, you're getting bumped.
Yeah, it's like
right?
you could, anytime you want to come down
of
here.
Course.
But even like,
I mean, first of all, just not from a comedian, from being a comedian and a fan of comedy, you're going to say that. And being a business owner, it's a no-brainer. Come down.
And they were nice. I mean, even like there were times that Robin came in, and usually, he would come in, and he was, like he was such a big personality, but as a human being, he was not a very big guy in stature,
right? And he's not always on.
Right. Oh, he was not on at all.
Right. So he's not always that guy.
He would come in, and we would hang out at the old club in the front and sit down and talk, and then he would go on stage. And like one night we were like talking for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, Robin, I go, I'm sorry we've been talking so long. I said, you want to go on? And he's like, no. He goes, I just came to talk to you and say you were doing. I just wanted to check in.
Great.
I mean, just such a good guy.
See, that's the type of stuff that breaks my heart, man. See, you hear stuff like that, and then those guys are gone now. You know, when they came, and guys like that come to a place, they'll come here specifically to work out material, or just to stay sharp, or is it both? Is it
both?
It's both.
Both,
right?
And it's. You make me think there was one night, Robert Klein was doing a run at the club. He was doing Wednesday nights for like a long time, and he was working on a new HBO special.
Fucking genius.
So, yeah.
They're all geniuses.
Seinfeld loved him, and was a big fan. So he said, hey, I want to come in tonight. And he came in, and Carlin was in the crowd. So Carlin, Robert, and Seinfeld. I'm trying to think, did Carlin won that night? I'm not sure if 2 of them went on or 3 of them went on, but then afterwards they all came out to the bar, and the show had ended, and they were talking, and the whole audience came out and were around them, and they were talking shop, as if nobody was around them.
They were used to people gawking at them.
Yeah, it didn't even faze them. Didn't faze them.
They were talking shop.
Right.
Carlin,
Seinfeld, and Klein.
Do you remember the conversation? Go ahead.
It was everything from where you working now, what are you working on, to the craft. This was great. That bit,
I'm going to do the garden next week, and I'm thinking about doing an HBO special, right?
And I remember, there was a woman, and she was kind of breathing weird, and I said, are you okay? And she says, I'm from Ohio. Things like this don't happen. She was hyperventilating,
Oh, that's the other thing, man. When you explain that to me, like if I'm the guy who owns the club, and Robert Klein is here, and Carlin and Seinfeld are in the audience, and like they're in the club, I might have somebody slam a door into my face. Like that's how insane as a fan of comedy. The only thing that makes that better is if like Richard Pryor showed up. Like I don't know how do you get better?
And those moments, it's like it's to this day, and doing it a long time. Like when things like that happen, and look, I still like when Seinfeld comes in, or Chappelle, or
George
Kevin
Wallace.
Hart,
I saw here a couple times.
Yeah, Wallace, a great guy. I love Wallace.
Wallace is a fucking raging genius.
Yeah,
another guy. They're all so amazing to me.
And he's another sweetheart of a man. Yeah, but it's like. When those guys, I still get chills. Like when
you still do. That's what I was
going to ask
you.
The crowd, they don't expect it, And we had a night not too long ago where Jerry came in, and he did time, and then he brought on Chappelle, and the crowd they couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
It's like it's like people were losing their shit.
You're talking about legends, But you also come from a beneficial place in the sense that you watched Chappelle grow and become the guy he is now, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's that element of it. Like, listen, I knew you when, but you're still, I love the idea that you still love the moment.
Oh,
that moment is still fucking electric.
Oh, it's crazy.
Like, I was wondering if there's ever a time when you become cynical about it or it gets old hat. And
hasn't happened yet.
I was going to say, you kind of answered that question. Are there guys that you see immediately and you think, all right, that guy can be a Seinfeld or a Chappelle? He has the younger guys.
Yeah, 100%. So 7 years ago, my brother and I were in Montreal at the Comedy Festival, and Steve Byrne, who started out of this club, is a great guy, good friend, headlines here first, said, you should meet this guy, Sebastian Maniscalco. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, I've seen him on TV, and I thought he was great, you know. So we met, and I booked him to do a weekend here at the club, and it was his first time headlining here. It was Friday night. I was standing over there. And he comes out, and he does an hour. And I was like, this guy's going to be a superstar. And why isn't he a superstar right now? This guy.
Really?
I was like, this guy's one of the best I've ever seen. I watched his second show, and the hour was different than the first hour. And I call my brother Steven. I'm like, you got to get down here tomorrow. We got to sign this guy. This guy is going to be the next big thing.
You got to sign this guy. Were you in management at that time?
Yeah, just brand new. I think I had like one or two clients, and Amy Schumer was one of them.
So Amy was one of your first two clients.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you get into management? Is it just because of those moments where you said, "Yeah, what the fuck drives you?" Because that's amazing to be able to do those things, you know?
So I wanted to make sure the club was like running the way I wanted to run, and that I had time to dedicate.
Yeah, you're
to
a fucking genius.
So well, I don't know about that,
but you're a business genius.
You know what? I work hard, and I love what I do.
That's right.
So it's like Steve came down. We watched Sebastian on a Saturday, and at the time he was represented by somebody else. And I said, look, I'm not a poacher. I don't operate that way. If ever comes a time you're not happy with your managers, I'd love to talk to you. And that's how it all started. And it's like, and that guy, I was like, this guy is going to be a superstar.
How long did it take before he called you and said, I'm not happy with my managers, let's talk?
It was quick.
It was quick.
Yeah. And,
Why? Did he say why he wanted to? Just because he was unhappy with his manager? Like, what makes him choose you as well? I think I know the answer, but, you know.
I'll put it this way. As a comic, when you come into a room that's well run and organized, if the guys that are running that room, you kind of would think, well, if they're running the club the right way, they could probably run a creek.
It's almost like without trying. I don't want to call it an audition, but it was kind of like showing him what you're about.
So it was a great match, and we work with a company called Levity Entertainment Group, my brother and I, and we bring Sebastian in, and like right away we were off. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. Because I remember like early on, I was calling clubs, arguing to get him like go from $2,000 to $2,500. Now the guy's playing, huge rooms. You know?
He is. I mean, he's world famous almost.
Oh yeah. I mean,
but here's the thing. Before I forget, I'm sorry. That first night when he killed it like that, he did the hour and then he did another. It's never one joke. It's never one thing. It's got to be for you the whole package. I mean, you've seen so many comedians come and go, and like, is it the idea that he never stopped? The way he addresses the crowd? Is it eye contact? Like, what is it? Is
it's
it all
a combination
of
things. Yes, it is all of that.
Yeah.
But it's like I just saw something in him, and really, he's a great writer and a great storyteller. And especially being Italian, it was stuff that I connected to. But more importantly. Listen, if that guy stood on stage upright and held a mic in his hand and told his jokes, he'd be a fantastic comedian. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he has that physicality and those little moves that he does, people are already dying laughing. And he throws a hand movement or kicks his leg up, and then they go into hyper,
it's the exclamation point.
So
it's the thing, the extra.
He's got a lot going on there, and he's a brilliant guy. And
he's inherently funny. He's a funny human being.
I'll tell you, we talked about like the Italian thing and the work ethic. He grew up in a very similar household. His dad and mom had a work ethic. It was instilled in him, and it shows. Like that guy is, he's not worried about what he's doing now. He's worried about what's the next thing. It's he's special. And then
he really is. So, all right. So you go back to so now you're managing him, and now your thing is you have to get him exposure. Is that what a manager does essentially?
It's the manager is kind of like the quarterback of everything. So it's like we're kind of big picture. Overseeing and working hand in hand with the agent. And setting like I remember we sat down with him downstairs in the lounge and figured out, okay, I want to know what his goals were, what was important to him, and that's our job to help him achieve those goals.
Yeah, what does a guy say? I want to be famous. I want to be successful in this business. I want to make a living at this.
So let's define success. Like success to some people is I want to headline certain club, or I want to get to theaters, or I just want to be a club comic or a headlining comic. That's all I want to do. Success to others, I want to use stand-up to get into acting is where my heart really lies. Is I want to have my own sitcom, or I want to do stand-up to get into writing. I want to write for Jimmy Kimmel, So it's like, what's the goal?
Yeah, what is success to you? What is it?
So
literally,
once I know that, and it's like you'd be surprised. There are plenty of people who don't know that yet. And it's like when you know what those goals are, it's a lot easier to achieve, to attain those goals when you know what they are.
That's right.
And that's where we step in. It's like because that's what we're really good at. We have all the contacts, and like we have baby clients. Like I can tell you, the kid that we represent named Leonard Oots, who's 24 years old, who it's already happening for him. He's on Wild and Out and another series called Safe Word, and he's got some movie roles coming out. you know, it was the same thing with him. Like, it's you just know. Well, I don't know. For me, you just know.
You just knew, yeah. That's
like
a talent in and of
he
itself.
submitted a tape for the TV series. And I, again, grabbed my brother and said, hey, look, I said, Steve, if this kid can deliver the way he's delivering on this tape on the TV show, we got to sign him.
Really?
And
Leonard Ouzts, how do you spell his last name?
Ouzts.
Oh, that's great.
And he's just, you know, he came and did the TV show. He crushed it that night. And he came off stage. We sat down and said, look, we want to sign you.
That speaks to, like, your desire to create. I think that's what drives you a little bit, I sense. I sense that you might be driven by the creation, you know, to create the process, like to look back and go, wow, look where Sebastian is now. And not that. I mean, you played a big role in it. I mean, obviously his talent and what he does led to it, obviously, but we glossed right over Amy Schumer. I did. Anyway, like, you're Amy Schumer's fucking manager, right?
Well, not anymore. I was.
But you were, but you helped her get to where she is, in a sense.
Yeah, you know, I mean, look, I'd like to think I played a part in anybody I represented, you know, and there's a team of people, you know, myself, like with Sebastian, it's, you know, me, Steve, Judy Brown Marmel on the West Coast, you know, and then his agents. But it's the same thing with other, you know, but the one thing I'll say about Amy is, like, she actually mentioned something in her book about it, but I was like the first person to say to her, hey, look, you have something special. Yeah. You know, and she did, and she does.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you know, she's
very sexy, intelligent, beautiful woman.
Yeah, she's, you know.
See what I'm saying, Chad?
She's a talented kid, you know, and, you know.
I'm going to keep my sister away from you. I'm just, your affection with Jewish women
gals,
scaring me.
It's beautiful.
No, but she's, you know.
When did you know Sebastian was going to take off? Like, I know you knew inherently, but what was the one thing? Was it an HBO special? Was it a...
You know, his specials were great. You know, it's, I got to tell you, honestly, with him, I knew the first night I saw him. Like, it was a matter of when. And it's happening, like, you know, this guy's selling tickets. Like, he broke the record at the Borgata. He sold out 7 shows there. Nobody's sold out 7 shows there.
That's incredible,
you know, it's
man.
like, we have dates coming up. I think we're going to do them Radio City this upcoming spring. You know, I mean, he just did the theater at Mohegan Sun, 10,200 seats there. You know, it's just
So that's what it is for him. Is it the big venues right now? Is that what he's focusing on? Is he
You know,
the type
he
of guy who
actually-
wants to do sitcoms and stuff like that?
You know,
or-
like he had a sitcom that didn't go last year. I mean, he loves doing stand-up, and he's a great stand-up. And, I mean, the kind of sweet spot for him is like those 3,000-seat theaters, but sometimes it just doesn't work that way. You know, there's not one that works.
Right.
I think, you know, if he had his choice, is what he would play. But sometimes in some markets you can't. And the other thing, too, is like, if you go into a market, you can sell 20,000 tickets. You really want to do 7 shows, you know?
Right.
It's, you know, it's a lot.
Right, it's
you
a
know,
lot.
And he's got a new daughter now, adorable little kid, Serafina. She's.
What is it? Is his home base on the East Coast?
He's Chicago originally, but now L.A.
He's a Chicago guy, right?
So why do you think that is? More comedians, I mean, aren't necessarily going to TV or film, and they're kind of just working in the rooms and working.
Well, listen, there's a lot of money in touring. You know,
There's a lot of money in it nowadays, huh?
Yeah.
Those college tours must pay great.
College pays good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
No, because I mean, look, you had Jerry who went to television, Kevin James, Ray, and you had all these guys who went to TV and like got huge contracts and, you know, the highest paid people at their time, and then you don't have that necessarily, or at least I'm not seeing it as much.
Well, you know, it's because TV's. You think about how much the TV landscape has changed in 20, 25 years. You know, how many more channels there are. So it's like people aren't. I mean, not that people aren't getting paid in TV; they are, but not the way they used to. And the laws have changed on how much a production company can own of a TV show, which means that they can't give out ownership the way they used to give out ownership to the talent on the show. So it's
Right. Oh, it's a whole different landscape out there now.
Yeah.
Do you do any producing? You did some producing in the past, films, documentaries, anything like that?
Yeah, you know what? We did this. We produced the series that we did here. You know, some of Sebastian's stuff. We got our hands in a couple other projects right now that we producers on.
Yeah.
You know,
You talk about it or no? You don't want to? Is it under wraps? as
Yeah,
it were?
you know, I mean, honestly, for me, like I'm old school. I don't like to jinx anything until
Right.
it's like actually
Yeah.
filmed and you know.
But didn't you?
Until it's on the air
Yeah, right.
and other people are watching. I'm the same way with any product. Until it's out there in distribution, it doesn't exist.
and the checks are cleared and
Exactly.
it's fucking a success.
Yep.
The cars. You're a car guy. What the? Like, how much
So-
time do you have? in
It's like
the
5
day?
more minutes.
Okay.
I mean,
Do you have 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
All right. Give me 5 minutes into why you were a car guy. And by the way, with 5 minutes left, maybe I can persuade you. Maybe we'll do a part 2. We'll come and do a collaboration.
Oh yeah, listen,
is it
I could talk
collaborate or
for
collaborate, Chad? Chad's my
Collaborate.
He's my educated.
Collaborate,
He's my
yes.
educated friend.
So the car thing, my dad worked for Chevrolet in the late 50s, early 60s in the parts department as a kid. You know, he was a street racer. He had a 58 Bel Air, then a 58 Impala. And, you know, I grew up around cars.
You loved him. You're a car guy.
Yeah, I was always partial to GM and Chevrolet in particular, but I love all cars now. You know, I
Since
like
high school,
Fords.
when you first started driving?
Yeah, even before that.
Before.
Yeah, I started drawing cars as a little kid. I had pictures when I was like a, teeny, like with models and tinkering with cars, and it was just, as far back as I can remember, I always knew, like, when I have money, I want to buy a Corvette, and...
It's always the Corvette, our age group.
Yeah.
It's the Corvette.
Yeah,
right?
And I just, to me, they're like works of art, and, I started collecting, 15, 20 years ago, and...
Collecting. What do you do? What's the first collector car that you get? Because, by the way, I'm the opposite of what you just explained as me. I'm the guy at the party, like, I have a cousin who's like you. His name is Chip. Whenever I go to one of his gatherings, I'm always the third guy in the conversation when the other guy walks up and goes, "Did you see they came out with the Z15 61A 365 with the, And then the guy looks at me and I go, that's a good one. That one is a fast one too, right? You know what I mean? I always feel less manly around guys like you.
No, it's like, I'm sure you know plenty about sports facts, so it's
sure.
like we all have our things, and like when it comes to some of that stuff, especially with Corvettes, I know a lot of facts and figures and production and this and that.
Although I will say, if I ever was at a car show or surrounded by cars with a guy like you, I can get interested. Like, I know you would capture I would find it interesting.
Because it is. It's like, and look, people like invest in the stock market. I don't even want to say, like, I buy cars because I like them and I have fun with them. You
love them.
It's like,
yeah.
I like to drive them. I like to, tinker with them.
What's your favorite car? Is it still a Vet?
Well, yeah, kind of my all-time favorite. They only made two of them. A '69 Corvette ZL1.
What's the difference between that and the ZL's other one?
Well, so ZL1 was an all-aluminum block 427.
Of course,
and
the aluminum
it's
block.
worth like $4 million.
It's worth $4 million.
Yeah.
Who has it, Jerry?
No, actually, Jerry's actually seen that. I showed him a picture of it. But a guy that has one of them is named Roger Jutsky. He lives down in Florida. He's had it for years. He bought it. Actually, a drug dealer had it, and he bought it in the 80s. I think he paid like $300,000 for it back then.
Well, who decides that it's worth $4 million? The market, like the stocks?
Yeah.
Is that how that goes?
Yeah.
So somebody is willing to pay him $4 million for that, like a stock, like the ask.
I don't know if they're willing, but that's really
really what it's worth.
Yeah.
So you also did 7 seasons of a car show?
No.
It was 7 seasons of Gotham.
Yeah.
The car show. You did a car show.
I did an online series at Yahoo with Michelle Rodriguez called Riding Shotgun with Michelle Rodriguez. So
Riding Shotgun with Michelle Rodriguez, who was in the Fast and Furious movies.
Cool chick.
She's a really, really good actress and very, very sexy.
Yeah, she's funny too. She's a good kid.
She has
but it was
huge crush on me. I'm married, and it's a problem.
Yeah, no, I know. I've been
trying to work
running
through
interference for you for a while
Thank
on that
you.
one. Yeah, well,
appreciate
that's
that.
the least I can do as your single friend.
But listen to what he does as a throwaway. This is why I'm a Chris Mazzilli fan.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, I also did a TV series with one of the hottest women on the planet about cars.
That was fun.
Yeah, of course it was fun.
Of course it was. You're doing a show about cars with gorgeous women.
Yeah, what's the name of it? What was the name of it?
It's called Riding Shotgun with
Riding
Michelle
Shotgun.
Rodriguez.
It's called
Okay.
This Show Can't Be Bad.
This show, and it's, by the way, it's not bad. I watched this a few episodes. That's what I mean. She's sexy and
The
absolutely
cars were
beautiful.
cool. So basically,
but she's smart and knowledgeable, and you guys, the
Yeah,
cars
I was kind of like her go-to car guy, and we would pick out these cars, and she drove them around the track at speed, and she was,
It's a great idea.
She was a good driver,
Do you still want do it anymore with her? Is it?
No, it was because Yahoo kind of went through a big transitional period.
Mm-hmm.
So the funny thing is they were like all gung ho with it, and then they kind of just put it out there. They didn't release it the right way. I mean, it was a lot of work went into that, and the production company that we did it with, Matador, who were the great guys over there, a lot of time and effort went into it. It was a big budget thing for online.
It was. It was really well done.
As you look at the way that's shot,
it's insane.
Yeah.
Really well done. Listen, I know you got to go. And I could stay here for hours with you. Literally, I could really stay here for hours.
Yeah, let's definitely.
Thank you for your time, Chris.
Oh, no. My pleasure. Thank you.
Gotham Comedy is located on
23rd and 7th.
23rd and 7th.
208 West 23rd.
Right next to the historic Chelsea Hotel.
That's right.
Which is actually a really interesting site as well.
True.
So you get them both
It's
in.
Gotham Comedy
Club.
.com.
And next time we'll have a few of our friends on. We're going to have Jerry Seinfeld.
Much funnier
Dave
people
Chapelle,
than me sitting here.
And Michelle Rodriguez.
Listen, if you could book them, I'm down. Let's do
that's
it.
what I was asking you to do. That's what I was saying. Those names. They wouldn't even go into a room with me. But I appreciate you coming on. Though. Okay? We'll see you next time, buddy.
Thanks,
Chris
guys.
Mazzilli, goddamn legend.
Thank you for joining us. To stay up to date on all things 3PLT, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter so you'll always know when our latest episodes are up. For the complete 3PLT experience, please visit our Digibro at 3peoplelikethis.com, powered by freedomsdesign.com. For all your online business digital solutions, creating marketing assets and digital tools for companies who are ready to invest in themselves. freedomsdesign.com. Wow your audience. Bro, it's Digibro, bro. See you next time on 3 People Like This, because life is content.